Hello everyone, this is Bradford Harris, and this is the video version of my Region 6 June 11th and 12th conference in Huntsville titled Getting to Know Google Forms. I did talk about at Region 6 how I was going to post a video of this conference and put it in Edmodo and share it out with you guys also on Twitter. And the video that I did, I don't think recorded right, so I decided to go ahead and just do a nice cleaner version of the video. So everything that I'm going to talk about will be from that conference, and I may add a little couple of extra things as well for you guys. And again, I want to thank you, the ones that attended. I want to thank you guys for giving me all the great feedback. I was a little nervous. I know some of y'all couldn't tell, I guess, from what y'all told me these past couple days. But I was real nervous. I didn't know how this was going to go. But I really had a good time with you guys. And I'm glad you guys got to have a chance to make Google Forms and take that back to your campuses, to your districts, or to your classrooms. Okay, so I have a couple of plugs that I want to give. When you guys attended the conference, those who did attend, I did talk about the keyboard that I had in the classroom. This has nothing to do with Google Forms, but it does have something to do with a little bit along with classroom management and the things that I do in my classroom. I highly, highly suggest that if you are an educator, whether you're in the classroom or you're a presenter, that you invest in a wireless keyboard. For me, when I present or when I'm teaching my students or other educators, I like to be mobile. I like to move around. I like to be close to my learners so I can help them out right then and there. I do not like being behind my desk or near the screen because I want to interact with you guys, because I believe that's how you guys learn. You want to see your presenter or your teacher facilitate within the classroom. So I've done wireless keyboarding for a couple of years. Of course, the clicker is always great, but I want to take it up a notch and use wireless keyboard, because I feel that as I'm doing a presentation or I'm teaching a lesson, I can easily walk around and maneuver my presentation while I'm teaching you guys, the learners or the students, if that makes sense. And the best one that I found was the Logitech wireless keyboard. It's about 20 or 30 bucks. You can find them at Walmart or Best Buy. Again, I highly, highly encourage you that as part of your own basic teacher school supplies that you get it. I totally love it. You can even give it to one of your students to be the quote presenter of the day, and you can still walk around and facilitate. The kids really love it because you're no longer behind a desk. You are interacting with the classroom. So now your presentation computer, or if you have a Starboard or whatever, is now in your hands. You don't have to be tied behind the desk. And whenever you're getting your walkthroughs from your principal or your appraiser or whoever, I think they like that too, that you're not being tied to the desk, you're still walking around, you're still being mobile and doing what you need to do. So again, that's one of my first shameless plugs, and I'm going to talk about the next plug a little later. So once again, if you were in my session, I had you fill out a Google form that was very detailed, and I give you about 5 minutes to do that, and I'm going to talk about that also in just a second. For those of you who do not know who I am, once again, my name is Bradford Harris. I am an instructional technology specialist. I'm also a Google certified educator, and I work in the Aldine Independent School District, specifically Eckerd Intermediate. And I also encourage you guys to follow me on my 2 Twitter handles. My first educator Twitter handle is Professor X1130, and then I also have another Twitter handle called Paperless Guys, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of this video session, because I think you're going to like what that Twitter handle is all about. But again, I encourage you guys to follow both, because I have a lot of information on those Twitter sites, and plus I want to hear what you guys are doing in your classrooms and in your districts. Okay, I also have a back channel from today's meet. I opened up that today's meet. It should be good for a year, so if you would like to communicate on that back channel, that is perfectly fine. I know when we were in a session we didn't use it a lot, but it was there. It's one of those things that I still like to use in the classroom, so the conversation can keep continuing, because maybe there are some things that I don't get to answer that somebody else can answer, and the session itself can keep moving. And that's the whole entire goal. We want to keep the session moving and being interactive as much as possible. So I know we didn't get to use a lot of it in the session, but again, today's meet will be open for about a year. So if you want to post some things, you want to have conversations, you can. Okay. Also, towards the end of this session, I talked about using the Padlet, to where at the end we just posted our Twitter handle and an example of a Google form that we did in class, and I'll show that towards the end. Okay, so I'm one of those people where I want to keep the conversation going as much as possible. Sometimes people have an idea, but they can't verbally say it, but they can type it out, they can send the link, and that's what I like. Okay, I don't have my email address on this video presentation, but if you would like to email me for any questions that you might have about Google Forms, or if you just want to say hi, my email address is beharris2 at aldinisd.org. Again, that's beharris2 at aldinisd.org. And in this presentation, the way I give my presentations, I know you see this blank screen, but there's a lot of information that I give. And what I like to do when I present is I like to give information at the bottom. So anything that I feel that's important that I need for you to pay attention to on the bigger screen, and I move on to something else and you guys get lost, I like to leave some information at the bottom. So throughout this presentation, if you don't get the right URLs, or if you don't get my Twitter handle, every screen that I have the Twitter handles at the bottom. I have the Edmodo group that you can join, and the today's meet, and that's going to be on the majority of all the presentation slides. So you don't have to worry about, wait, let me stop and pause the video, or let me stop and look up because I've missed something. This information is going to be on every slide. Okay, so let's talk about the overall objective. What is it that we're going to do today? The overall objective is we're going to create Google Forms for students and educators in a classroom setting, or in a faculty meeting, or in a flip method, however you want to do it. This is not just for students. This is for faculty members and educators in the districts as well. Our agenda for this session will be, we're going to learn how to access Google Forms. We're going to create a form. We're going to look at the parts. We're going to look at the spreadsheets. And we're going to look at add-ons from the Google Store. Okay, so let's go and look at the Google form that I had some of you guys do at Region 6. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on here. The background's real colorful. The banner's really fun. I tried to make it as fun as possible. I'm sure some of you guys have been exposed to Google Forms, but you don't know really how to create it yet, and so that's where I come in this session. As you can see, there was a lot of stuff going on, and my goal of this form was to show you everything you could possibly create in a Google survey. I have the date, I have your name, I have your position, I have your email address, I have videos, I even have a math problem. I know some of you are like, well, why is he putting that in there? I don't get that. But again, I wanted to show you guys things that you could possibly put in a Google form. Just the other day, I saw somebody put in a reading passage, and I thought that was great. I never thought about putting reading passages in a Google form, so I gave a small little reading passage for you guys to read. And then, of course, images in the Google form, and let's not forget video. So I tried to put in every aspect of a Google form that I possibly could think of. I know there's a lot more, but I want to give you a lot to get started. So let's look at the results. Okay, you've done the Google form, and so let's look at how this all comes about from the creator's end of it. Okay, so here's a spreadsheet. Okay, and if you're like my district loves data. Okay, we just can't get enough of it. I'm not saying anybody else's district doesn't, but we are a very data-driven district, which is, I think, pretty cool. So if you're the creator of the Google form, you will see your questions at the top, and then everybody's information pop up at the bottom. You'll see the timestamp that's automatically put there. You don't create that. That timestamp automatically is put there. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, but here's the really cool feature. We're going to go to form, and then we're going to go to show summary of responses. Okay, so when I go to show summary of responses, and there's the summary of how everything is broken down. Okay, I love this. I thought this was the coolest thing when I figured this out for the very first time. You have a pie chart for each question. You have a bar graph for some of the questions as well. It's broken down by percentages based on the question. I think that is very cool. So this is instant data that you can give to your skills specialist, to your appraiser, to your principal, whatever it is that somebody is looking for. It's good data to start off with. Okay, so each question had some type of pie chart or graph for the most part. Okay, this tells me, if I create this form, where I need to go in my teaching. Okay, so some of y'all, for the most part of this session, were beginners. 70% of y'all were beginners. A few of y'all were advanced. In the middle were intermediate. So that kind of tells me, okay, this is where I need to go in my teaching. Okay, a lot of you that were in the session were high school people. Okay, and then second were elementary people. For the grade level that you teach, 43% of y'all were the high school people. So there were a lot of high school people in the session, which is perfectly fine. I love it. So this is the funny thing. When I posted the picture up of how do you feel about technology integration based on the pictures, let's see, 34% of y'all were number 2. I think that was use it from time to time, and then some were other numbers. I'm not going to get into that, but I just wanted to show those pictures to see how people felt and see if they relate to that. So I thought y'all got a big kick out of that. Okay, again, here's your bar graph, and then so on and so forth. So again, this is information that you can present to your appraiser or principal or whoever needs to look at some instant data. That way you know where to work off of. Okay, so those were the results from that particular session. Go back here. So let's get started. We want to know how to access the Google form, and I'm basing accessing the Google form from the newer version of the Google Drive. I know you can revert back to the old one. I'm not sure when they're taking that old version off. If they have by now, I'm not sure. But the way I taught it was I taught it from the new version perspective. Okay, so based off of the picture, you're going to access your Google Drive, and I'm not going to go through that step because I'm assuming at least you know how to access that part. If you don't know how to access your Google Drive, please talk to one of your fellow teachers or your IT person or whoever that goes into Google. But for this session, I am assuming that you've already know how to at least access your Google Drive. So I'm not going to go through that. So you're going to start off by clicking New. Okay, and once you click New, you're going to scroll down and click on More, and then Google Forms. Okay, so again, that is New, and then you're going to go to More, in Google Forms. So let's look at the live way that I'm going to do that. So I'm in my Google Drive. I click on New, More, and then I scroll my mouse and my cursor to Google Forms, okay? Yay! So now we are officially in our Google Form. This is what I like to call the Google Form skeleton. This is where we're going to start building the a Google Form to send out to people, okay? So that's the accessing part. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the skeleton, each part of the Google Form. We're going to talk about the form setting. We're going to talk about the sending form feature. We're going to talk about the upper left-hand corner that looks like the Word document where you have the file and the responses and all that. And then we're going to actually start building on the form, okay? Let's start off with number 1, the form settings, okay? Now, if you are a GAFE district, Google Apps for Education district, your form settings may be a little bit different. This is a screenshot of my Aldine version, okay? There's a lot of stuff going on here. You have shuffle question order, you have only allow one response person, show progress bar, automatic collect respondents from my district, require people from my district to log in, okay? How I like to do mine personally is I like to check 3 things. I like for the people who are in my district to log in. It automatically takes their username, and then it only allows 1 response per person to log in. Okay, so for me, I like doing that because I can the person who logs into my Google form, they can only log in that one time, and that's it. And I can automatically track who's who. So even if I don't put in what is your email address, I know at least from their username that this is this particular person, and I know the ending part at aldineisd.org. That's how our district is set up. Your district might be a little different, okay? And plus, I only like if I'm only dedicating my form to Aldine people only, it's only going to go to Aldine. It's not going to go to anybody else. If I try to send this form out to, say, Spring ISD, for example, they will not be able to access it because it's only an Aldine form, okay? The form settings that you see here are based off of my personal professional Google Drive, and this is just the basic where if I want to send out a form for everybody to look at and everybody to fill out, they can, and they can go public. But as you can see, some of the things, basic things are still there. Show progress bar at the bottom, shuffle question order, only allow 1 response per person when you log in. On the form setting itself, you notice that, again, we're talking about that shuffle question order. I don't use that one as much. I really haven't played around with it because I put a lot of headers in, and I like for my forms to look a certain way. Like I need the date and the name, and I need, you know, certain questions to go a certain way. So I don't really play around with this one as much. If I don't need a name and a date and I just need them to answer the questions randomly, then I'll probably go that way. But as a teacher, I'm thinking of this as, you know, a glorified handout, a glorified worksheet. So I need the name and I need the date. I need those in that specific order, and then I need the questions to go in the order that I need for it to. And plus, I have headers and reading passages, and I don't want those to be scrambled everywhere. That's just the teacher in me. So I don't check mark this one very much, okay? If I'm doing just a general survey for my campus and I don't need a name, I don't need a date, I just need, you know, for them to answer the questions, then this will be a good time to check it. But if I'm giving some type of checkpoint tests to my students, I don't want to shuffle the questions. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Okay. So let's talk about, let me backtrack here again. Now we're going to the second part, the send form button, okay? And if I go to my skeleton survey, so my skeleton form, that's going to be on the upper right hand corner, okay, where it says blue send form, okay? So let's take a look at my presentation real quick. So when I click on that blue send form, you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see a white box that pops up, and then when a second white box that pops up after you typed in your information, okay? Again, I'm working from this on my professional personal drive, okay? If you have your district Google, it may look a little different, okay? So I click on send form in the upper right hand corner, okay? Here is the send form link, okay? So here are some parts of the send form link. There's the long link that you're going to share to everybody, okay? There's also on the right hand side embed. When you click on embed, it's going to give that embed link, and you can highlight that link and copy it, change the width and the height to whatever size you want. And with that embed link, if you want to embed it into your personal website, an HTML site, you can, and people can answer your questions from there, okay? So I also like to go on ahead and I like to click on the short URL. When you get that short URL, it's a little bit easier for your viewers to look at and use, okay? And I just copied that one and I put that in an email. Another way to save time is if I click on send form via email, I'll type somebody's name. I'll say sample at gmail.com. Hopefully that's not anybody's real email. But sometimes if you're emailing people a lot, names will pop up. And you can title your form, whatever title of the form will be. And I'll actually talk about titling in just a second. And then you can do your message. This is the form. Or whatever you want to say. And then you can click send. Now, before you click send, you can also add collaborators at the bottom. Okay, so if I click on add collaborators, okay, notice it said I didn't title my form yet. Okay, let's backtrack to that really quickly. I'm going to click on done. I'm going to get back to this stuff in just a moment. Okay, it's really wanting me to title my form. So let's just do that really quickly. On the upper left-hand corner where it says Untitled Form, I'm going to notice the box is shaded in gray. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to name my form. I'm going to call it Test Google. And then I'm going to click OK. Notice Test Google pops up, and then Test Google appears as the title of my form. Now, I can change that if I want to. If I change it, I believe it will still say Test Google in the upper right hand corner, but if I want to name it something else, I can. Okay? So, let's go back to that send form option. So, we're back on the send form. I've shortened my URL. Okay? I'm sending this email, this form to sample@gmail.com. Notice the subject, Test Google. It's the same subject as my Google form, okay? And I'm going to send a message. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Okay? And before I click send, maybe I want to send this to for somebody to edit and help me work on, okay? So I'm going to click on Add Collaborators. Okay? And here are my share settings. Look at the top right here. Here's a link that only my collaborator can look at and change. Okay? Now, when I send my form out to people to look at and collaborate on, it's usually for people to make copies of, the people that I know, because I kind of, unless I'm working in a group and creating a form, I kind of like doing my forms on my own, and then I like sharing it with others. So this is what I usually do. So let's say that I'm sending it to my other self. Okay, the only person has that power to edit, right? So I can add a message if I need to add a message. And one thing I like to add is make a copy for yourself. Okay? And this is only when I have finished my form and everybody says, "Ooh, can you send me that? I'd like to see how you created that." I do that. I do that for my fellow cohorts who are interested in, recreating a form, but they don't want to start from the beginning. I send that and I tell them, make a copy. Don't mess with mine because it'll mess everything up. And then I press send and I get that information, and I always email them back again to tell them, make sure you don't edit the original, make one for yourself, and then take it off. Things like that. Okay, so I'm gonna take myself off here, my other self. Okay, so now my other self has no power to edit. I'm gonna save my changes. I'm gonna click done. Okay, so that is step 1 and 2 of the sending form part. Okay, now again, we talked about the sharing of the link for people to collaborate. Link sharing. This may pop up on your screen. Public to the web. Anybody on the public can do it. No sign-in required. Anyone who has the link, no sign-in required. Only share this link with specific people. That may pop up as well. Okay. If you are in a district like mine, this link sharing may be a little different. It will probably say, only people at this district can view it. Only this people in this district can edit. Only this people in this district can do whatever. Okay, so that link sharing may be a little different if you're a GAFE district. Okay, and then once again we have the embedded information. Okay. Now here's our favorite part. Here's the fun part. We're going to go through the actual title of it, which we've already talked about, creating the questions, the question type, and the adding of the items and clicking done, and they require a question. Okay, so let's go back to the test, the title part. We've already talked about creating the title at the top and creating the title here, but let's talk about the form description section. Okay, this is optional. Okay, you are not required to put that in there, but think of it as if you're giving a handout to your students. Maybe there's directions that you need to put on there, because on some of our handouts that we give to students, there are directions. Okay, so you may want to type in, some type of direction. Fill this out, please. Okay, again, you don't have to do that. Okay, but if there are certain learners in your classroom or in your meetings that they need stuff spelled out or explained a little bit more, I encourage you to do that. Okay, so that's from the title part. The actual question part. Okay, now we're ready to fill out the questions. Now, so let's look at the parts of the question. Okay, you have your question title, whatever you want to title your question. Okay, and there is the help text. Okay, you also have a pencil here that stands for edit, a paper symbol, that stands for a duplicate or copy, and then a trash can to delete. Okay, so you're gonna go to your question title and you're gonna type in a question. How are you? Okay. Your help text. Your help text is the same thing as kind of your description at the top up here. If you feel like you need to explain this question more to your learners or to your fellow educators, you can. Again, you are not required. So let's say I have a student that doesn't really understand the meaning of that question. I just add a little helpful hint to get them started. Tell me how you are feeling today. Okay? And that helps them explain the question a little bit more. Okay? So that's the question title and help text. Okay? Now, question type. We're ready to talk about question type. So you have a couple options here. Okay? If you click on the rectangle that says multiple choice, you have a lot of options. There's text. And when you click on text, this will give students the opportunity to just give a quick short answer. You would use this for tell me your name, first and last, and they just put their first and last name, something real short and to the point, and you keep going. Okay? Paragraph text. This is where if you're wanting them to give a longer answer, more detailed answer, maybe you're looking for explain to me briefly about I don't know, the water cycle. I always bring up the water cycle when I explain things. I don't know why. But this is where they will explain their answers in a little bit more detail, okay? Multiple choice. You know, we're all fans of multiple choice. I shouldn't explain what that is. You guys know what that is, but I'm going to go in detail in just a moment about how you fill out your multiple choice answers. Check boxes. This gives your learners an opportunity to check more than one answer if that's what you're looking for. Choose from a list. I like to do choose from a list when I want people to, like say, select their name. If there's certain people that I need to take this quiz or survey, I already have their names in there, and they just select their name or whatever else they want to select that in there. That's your choice. Scale. I don't use scale very much, but that's more of a tell me from 1 to 5 if this session was poor or if it was great, and I'll show you that in a moment. The grid option, I know you really can't tell from here, but that's another survey type question. I always like to have my survey people or my students or learners fill out a day, and you can include the time and the year if you would like, or you can take it out. Doesn't matter. And of course, there's your time feature, so they can click on the time, hours, minutes, seconds, or hour, minutes, AM, and PM. Okay, I don't use that one very much. Okay, I'm going to talk about the done, required, and add items in just a moment. Let's go through, and we're going to talk more about the multiple choice and check boxes, and then I'll talk about the other stuff briefly. So let's do multiple choice. Okay, so my question was, how are you? And I want to give, I don't know, 4 options. Okay, so I click on multiple choice. Okay, and I put in my answer. Let's say sad. Okay, I can click on my tab button, or I can just click where it says, you can barely see it, but it says click to add an option. I can do that, or a tab. Happy. I'm clicking tab right now, so it's going to take me a couple steps to get there, about 2 steps. Angry. Whatever. Okay, so I have 4 different options here that I've given my learners to fill out. I can also click on other. When I click on add other, that gives them the option of selecting that answer, and then they type what they want to type. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking at my multiple choice. I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't need an add other, or I don't need sad or whatever. I want to delete that. Here's what you do. You're going to go to the right of your answer, and notice that my cursor is going to change to the hand, and I just delete it. Okay, so now my answer choice is gone. So now I'm taking a step back and I'm looking at my answers, and I'm like, I want to move happy to the top. How do I move happy to the top? Well, as you can see on the left-hand side, there are vertical dots. Okay, if I hover my mouse over those vertical dots, you see the crosshairs. Okay, I left click, and I can move my answer wherever I want. I'm going to move mine at the top. So now I have happy at the top, because hopefully you guys feel happy. Okay? So that's how I would do my multiple choice. Now let's say I really want them to check more than one answer. That's where you go to check boxes. Okay? It still looks the same as multiple choice, okay? But now I'm giving the opportunity for them to check more than one answer. Okay? Let's say I want them to choose from a list. Still the same thing, except it's going to have a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me take you to the live form from choose from list, because I want to show you what that's going to look like. Okay, so here's the live form that people will take. Okay, so remember I showed you the choose from a list. This is what it's going to look like. So I select the down triangle button, and now I have options to put my answers. Okay, so that's what choose from a list is going to look like. Okay, so that is excuse me, that is the main things main options that I select for my Google form. Okay, I don't play with go to page based on answers, but basically what that is if they select a certain answer, depending on what answer they select, that will probably take them to another Google form that you create based on that answer. So that's more like Google form differentiation, the instruction in a way. Okay, I haven't played around with that too much, but I've seen it done a lot of times, and I think it is pretty neat, so it's worth playing around with. But again, that takes time if you want to create a form based on certain answers. Okay, so now we're talking about the done, required, add item questions. Okay, whenever I personally have people do a form and submit, I want to make every question required. Okay, and that's this bottom section down here. I just check it, and that means that this question is required. I highly recommend that you do that for your learners and for your students, because sometimes we skip questions, okay? And we're extremely busy, or we just don't pay attention, and we don't get that true data that we need. Okay, so I try to make every question required. There are some questions that I may say, okay, this is optional, and I really don't care if they skip it, because that's the data that I'm not really looking for. But if I need every question answered, I need to make that required. Like, for example, I need for you to have your name filled out. I need for you to make sure you put the date in. I need to make sure you answer the questions. So I'll make everything required. If I click done, you will see that it is starred. Okay, so on the live form, you'll see that small red star, and they will be able to answer the questions. Okay, so now I'm ready to add an item. I'm ready to add another question. There are different ways that you can do it. The first way is when you click add an item, it takes you to another question. It's most likely going to take you to a multiple choice type of question, okay? And you can change that to whatever you want to change it to. If you want to go back and make it a text, paragraph text, whatever you want to change it to, you can, okay? Now, I want to add the same type of question that I did above. I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to go back to my previous question, and I want to duplicate that same answer, that same type of format, but I want to change my question. So I'm going to click on the duplicate button with the two papers. And now I have that same type of question. If I want to ask the same type of question, that's fine. But if I want to just change the question, I can. And I don't have to worry about reformatting everything, okay? So I'm going to keep that the same. I'm going to make it required and everything. And I'm going to add another item. When I add another item again, I'm back to the multiple choice option, okay? I can type in another question. What are you doing today? Again, I'll make that a required question, okay? And I click done, or I click on add another item. Let's say I click done, okay? When I click done, now my question is formed, and I want to add another item. But this time I want to do something a little different. Look at the triangle by add an item. If I click on that, now I have some options. It's basically the same thing as adding another item, but I'm looking at it from another perspective. I usually do this one if I want to do a page break, if I want to add an image, a video, or a section header. That's mainly what that part is for. And I'm going to talk about these also in just a moment. Okay? I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to show you the grid and the scale part because I think you guys understand the time and the date, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I want to talk about the scale and what that looks like. So I'm going to add the scale, and let's say I put rate this session. Okay, and I'm sure you've seen that in many surveys, not just in Google. And again, that question type has changed. I can change that to wherever I want to change it to, but if you're wanting to rate a session or the survey or whatever, you want to click scale. And you can do your range, 1 to 5, 1 to 10, however you want to do it. 1, let's say being poor, 5 being great. Okay? Make it required. And then you click done, and this is what the rating will look like. Okay? Listing from poor to great. Okay? You can do from 1 to 10, 1 to 3, however you want to do it. Okay? The next item that I want to add, click add item or the triangle, is we're going to add the grid. Okay? Now be patient with me, you guys, because grid is something that I'm still working with, but I'm sure you've seen it before. Let's say I want to talk about, let's say, management of the school. Okay? So you're going to add your rows. Okay? We'll talk about organization. Row 2, we'll talk about lessons, attendance, and then we'll talk about integration. Okay? So that's for rows 1 through 4. That's from rows 1 through 4. So then our columns, we say we put always. Now, require 1 response per row. And you'll see why I do that in just a second. And I'm going to click done. Now, this isn't the best grid. I threw this together really quickly, but now you kind of see what that grid would look like. And the reason why I made this type of grid required is I want them to make sure that they answer every single type of subject within that grid. Organization. How is the school's management when it comes to organization? You know, they're pretty good always. Sometimes I'm indifferent. They're never organized. Same thing with lessons, attendance, integration. So that's how you would fill that part out. And you would make every single section of this required, because I think if you don't, you're not going to get the data that you need. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So we're about to talk about the store part in just a second. I know one teacher in the session talked about, okay, I want to add pictures. How do I add pictures and the extra words that you put in the Google form? Excellent question. So let's say that we want to add, she talked about adding, the picture of the circulatory system. So I'm going to click on the triangle, and I'm going to click on, under layout, I'm going to click on image. Okay, so I click on image. Okay, and if you have an image of the circulatory system from your own computer, you can upload it. If you want to take a snapshot really quickly from your computer, you can by URL, your own personal albums in Google Drive. You can. I'm going to click on search. When I click on search, it's automatically going to be in Google. Okay? And I believe they are Creative Commons compliant. So I'm going to type it in, excuse my spelling, circulatory system. Okay, so we got several images here. So let's say, I want to choose the heart. So I check mark the heart and I select it. And bam, that image, see if I can scroll that image comes up. Okay, now, ooh, that image is a little bit too big. I can't handle all that. So I click on the image and I'm going to just shrink that up a little bit, just so it can fit on the page. Okay, I'm going to scroll up and I want that to be in the middle. So just like in Word, you have left align, center, and right align. Okay, so I'm going to center that, and now there is the picture of my heart circulatory system or whatever. Okay, I can title it. I'm going to say heart, and I can give an option to hover over the text, hover over the image. So let's say we call it parts of the heart. Okay, I have the option of changing my image, okay, if I want to. Okay, but let's say I'm done. I click done. So now there's the image of the heart, but now I'm ready to answer some questions. Okay, I'm going to add an item by with a triangle. I'm going to do multiple choice. Okay, and I'm going to put some questions on there. Let's go ahead and add another question. Add an item. Let's put in name the, I'm going to say ventricles. Very easy question, right? Okay, and I'll just make that a text so they can just give me a short answer. No big deal, right? I click done. Okay, so these two questions will go with the picture. But let's say I need to give specific answers for that specific student for when they get to this form to say, please answer the following questions. Okay, this is what you do. Click the triangle, go to layout, section header. Okay, and I'm going to now put in my header text. Please answer the following questions. Okay, and I click done. Okay, but wait a minute, Mr. Harris. I have please answer the following questions at the bottom. I want that on top of the heart. You can easily move it. Remember when I talked about at the top about moving your selections here for multiple choice? You can do the same thing with your headers, with your questions, everything. Okay, so I hover my mouse over and I get the crosshairs. Now I can move this whole entire header to where I need it to go. Okay, so I want it right under the management school survey. Oops, not right there yet. Right there. Okay, so now they know to answer the following questions about the heart or whatever it is that you want to add. Okay, you can do that with your questions, your actual question. So let's say I want how many parts are in the order. I want that second. I just move it second and it's there. Okay, very, very simple, right? So now I want to put a video in. Okay, I want to put something to where the students can look at a video. Again, very simple. Let's go on ahead and I'm going to add another section header from the triangle. Triangle, section header. And I'm going to put view the following video and answer the questions. Okay, and if I want to add a description, I can. So I'm going to click done. Now I'm going to add my video. Okay, so Google Forms can only do YouTube videos. Okay, you cannot do Vimeos or SchoolTube or anything else. It only will allow YouTube videos. If you've made a video and you want to put that video that you made in the Google form, you're going to have to upload that to YouTube to pull it in your Google Forms. Okay, so you have video search and URL. Okay, if you go to URL, okay, you're going to have to paste a YouTube link in that video. So let's say we go to YouTube really quickly. All right. And I have this obsession with frogs. Even though I can't stand frogs, I have that crazy obsession. So frogs. Okay. So let's pick this one, true facts about the frog. I click on it. Okay, I'm going to turn off the autoplay.
We'll explore true facts about the frog.
Pause it. Now I want to put in that link. Okay, so I just take the link at the top in my Omnibar of my browser, highlight it, copy it, Control-C, go to my Google form, and I paste. And that scary looking frog appears right there, and I can select it. Okay, so now my frog is there. Okay, I can make it left and dead, aligned, centered, or to the right. Okay, so I'm going to put that in center. I'm going to click on the picture because I think it's too small, so I'm going to make it bigger. Just enough so your learners can see it. Okay. Now I'm gonna title the video. We'll call it frogs. Okay, and we're done. Okay, now I'm going to show you the other way to add the video. Triangle, video. Okay, instead of URL, you go to video search. So this takes the extra step up. You notice how when I open the tab, it takes that extra step out, so you don't actually have to go into another tab to open up YouTube. I want to look up a video on frogs. Frogs. And then I click search. Now look at all the options that it gives me about frogs, okay? I'm assuming you have already previewed the video. You know what the video is going to be talking about. And so you click on the true facts about frogs.
Here
you can preview it here.
True facts about the frog.
It's highlighted. Click select. And again, the video is there. Title it frogs again, or whatever you want to call it. Click on the image, center it, or left align it, right align it. Let's right align it just for fun. Click on the picture, make it bigger or smaller, however you want to do it. And then you click done or add an item. Oops, excuse me. Done or add an item for questions. Let's add a quick question really quickly. We'll make it a paragraph text. Why not? Tell me about the frogs. Okay, make it required. And it's done. All right. So now you have your Google form. Okay. Here's something that I did not talk about in the session, something that I think is really cool. So you guys saw the nice, pretty little Google form that I made. Well, that came into themes, okay? I'm still in my skeleton form, but I want to change the theme of what it's going to look like. So I click on change theme. And now if you look on the left-hand side, this is what your Google form will look like, okay? So when your user, your learner, takes the Google form assignment, this is what they're going to see. So this gives you a quick little preview of if you like it, if you don't like it, if you need to check for spelling, whatever it is that you need to do. The videos here, you cannot play the videos. You cannot take the test. It's just a format of what the form will look like, okay? So I don't like this theme. I'm not a big fan of it. On the right hand side, when you click on change theme, you can scroll down and you can look at the different themes, okay? I want to do the boating one, sailing. Okay? So now my form has changed to this sailing one. My colors have changed, and I like it. Maybe I want to change it to, I don't know, save the date. Why you would change it to save the date for a thing about hearts and frogs? I don't know. But there are your options for changing your theme. You also can customize your own theme. This is where I created that little party theme in that background. If I go to, let me scroll here for a second, back to basic, I can click on customize. And now I'm ready to customize the form to my liking. I'm going to click on header image. I'm going to choose an image. And I have different illustrations I can look at. Seasonal, birthday. I'm going to click on night out because I think that's the one where you guys saw the fun party stuff. I'm going to click on this border right here, and if you slowly look, you can see people pouring drinks. You can see somebody taking a drink. That's pretty cool. I'm going to select that. And you can find your own create your own banners as well. So I'm going to click on select, and now I have my banner. You can fit it to width. You can change the image. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. Fit to width makes it go all the way across. Okay. If I click on title, I can change my font. Okay, I can make it bold. I can make it go to the center. I can do whatever it is that I want. The descriptions, I can again change the font to all my descriptions if I have a certain description. Okay. Questions, I can still do the same thing. Let me scroll down some more. Help text, same thing. And if you have a help text, the font will change. I click on options. I can still do the same thing if you have an option feature available. Okay. Format the background. If I feel like I need to change the background color, I can. Of your test. Let me find a better color than that. Okay. Okay. Page background. This is the fun thing. I like to do the page background. So I go to change image. Let's say I find something in Google Drive. I went to, again, page background. I know you can barely see it, but I changed the image. Since we were talking about frogs, let's find something about frogs. There, so I changed the image and I kept it tiled. And now you see a whole bunch of tiled frogs in the background. Okay, this is one weird Google form, you guys. But there's my customized, my own personal Google form theme. Okay, so that's how you would create that. Now, again, going back to the sending of the email part, when I'm ready to send this out, say to my staff or to certain students or learners or whoever it is that I want to send it out to, I get their email address and I send it to them, and they can answer the Google form in their email. Now they won't get this pretty little image in the back. They'll just get the straight Google form. And the beauty of that is it's already in the email, and they can just answer the questions within their email, and they can keep going. If they feel like they need to see the bigger version of it, the email will give them a link, and it will take them to the form just like this. Okay? So, let's say that I am the teacher, and I have the kids or learners or whoever taking the test. Here's how you would see your answers. You're going to click on View Responses. View Responses. When you click on View Responses, this is one thing I highly recommend you do, depending on the question. It looks just like a spreadsheet, Excel sheet. Click on row 1. Click on your wrap text wrapping. And click on the middle part of wrap. Okay? This way you can see all of your questions horizontally. Okay, you'll probably have to scroll a little bit to see the other questions, but they're there. Your timestamp is automatically going to be put there regardless. Okay, it doesn't matter. You don't have to add a timestamp feature. That's why sometimes I don't like to put the date in, but I like to do that anyway just to have it in there. But the timestamp is the key to this whole entire spreadsheet. So you can sit here and you can give the students the Google form test, and you can just instantly, when they finish the test, you can watch their names pop up. Very, very cool. So like say, you have a 75 to 90 minute class, and you give them the form, and all you're seeing is a spreadsheet. When they click on submit, their names and stuff, their test will pop up. Okay, so even by the end of the class, you notice Johnny didn't answer the question. He said he did. He did. You say no, you didn't, because everybody has answered it but you. Okay, so another question that was raised in the session was, well, how do we prevent somebody from taking the test again? There's a lot of options there. Okay, let's say that Johnny, Bobby, and Mary were the only 3 students that were absent that day and they didn't take the test. Well, according to the timestamp, you took the test on, the other students took the test on the 11th. When Johnny, Bobby, and Sue, I guess those are the names I said, come back, they came back on the 13th. So everybody has taken the test on the 11th, but 3 students. They're going to take it on the 13th, based on the timestamp, based on the date. Now, you'll have Mr. Brad. Mr. Brad wants to sneak and do the test again. Okay? He's going to take the test again on the 13th. No, that does not work, because according to my timestamp, everybody took the test on the 11th except for 3 students. Brad has already taken that test on the 11th. So if you see another thing on the 13th, you are not going to take that answer. Well, Brad will say, well, I haven't taken that test yet. Yes, you have. According to my timestamp, you have taken it. You were in class and you took that test. I'm only accepting that one answer, that one submission, unless you decide to have Brad take the test again. Okay, and that's for your discretion. Okay. One of my audience members or learners asked about, well, let's say I give a test to the Google form to my students, but I'm not ready for them to take it yet. Very simple. I'm going to duplicate the how are you question. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to text. And I'm going to just say place answer here. Okay, and I'm going to erase this to help text. And I'm going to click on advanced settings. I'm going to click on the data validation. I'm going to click on text. I'm going to leave it as contains. And I'm going to say the password will be pencil. The custom error text, need password to start. And I'll make that required. I'm going to move my question at the beginning. And I'm Mr. Teacher. I've already given my form out to the students, but I'm still lecturing. Okay? I've made that question required. So this will catch little Johnny from doing the test early, because what's going to happen is when he goes to the live form and he tries to place an answer there, it's going to say password required. Well, he doesn't know what the password is. So he has to wait until I say, class, the password to the first question is pencil. And everybody puts in the word pencil. And it has to be spelled correctly according to the word that I said it has to contain. So if I even spell pencil, P-I-N-S-I-L, that's how they have to spell it. Okay? And that prevents them from starting the test early. Now, let's say that same class walks out and the new class comes in, and you know how kids talk. Hey, if you want to get started on the test early, the password is pencil. So now everybody knows, the next class knows the password is pencil, and they're going to get started. Well, as a teacher, you can go back to your edit question and change that password to marker. So now everybody's going to try to do pencil and get started, and that's not the right password. You've already changed it to marker, so they still can't get started. Okay, or maybe you want to just go ahead and create a new entire form for them to take, just in case you have those smart Alex that think that the test is going to be the same as the last class. Okay, you can do that as well. All right, so that's a way of doing a little bit of security for your Google form. Okay, so now let's talk about the add-ons that Google Form can offer. There's tons of stuff. There is Flubaroo, there's Check It Out, there's Form Notifications, Choice Eliminator, GMath, and Form Limiter. I'm going to try to talk about all of these. If not, then you can discover this for yourself. Everybody likes Flubaroo. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that for a moment, because as educators, we want those grades, right? So I already created a fake test for the Region 6 people to take, just so they can see how that works. Here is the live form version of that test. As you can see, according to me, I've already responded, so you can't really see it. But let's just go on. This is just the skeleton of it. Okay. So I go to my view responses. So in order for Flubaroo to work, you need at least about three responses to do a good grading. Okay. And one of those responses needs to be you as the educator, because you should be the answer key. So I'm going to click on add-ons in the spreadsheet of where the answers were taken. Add-ons, and if you do not have Flubaroo added, you need to go to Get Add-ons, and then you need to find Flubaroo. Of course, I already have it check marked because it's already in my spreadsheet system. Okay, so I'm going to click on Add-ons, Flubaroo, and instead of regrade assignment, if I'm grading this for the first time, it's going to say grade assignment. Now, the reason why it says regrade on mine is because, let's say those 3 students that haven't taken that test yet that I talked about earlier, they've already submitted, and I'm ready to grade their assignment. Now, the other people's grades that have already been taken should not change unless you've done something different with your Google form. So I'm going to click on grade or regrade assignment. Now this is going to tell me that it's going to replace your existing grades. Are you sure you want to do that? I'm going to click yes. And what I love about the Flubaroo is that it's going to take you step by step. So if you are brand new at this, or if you're just having one of those days and you just forget how to do it, it's going to take you step by step. It gives you your grading options of how you want each question graded. Now remember, for some of your questions, you have put the date in. What is your name? What is your last name? Things like that. You want to make sure you either do identify student or skip the grading, because you don't want those to be graded, okay? So I like to just do identify students, and I click continue. Okay, it's going to take you to step 2. And let's say Harry is the teacher. He created the key. So I'm going to base this off of Harry. Okay, then I'm going to click continue. Now it's going to grade my assignment. And there you go. There is your instant data. You can see the average points possible, and how many people submitted, how many people got each question right. And according to Flubaroo, in your settings, if you want to set it to where 70 is the basic standard for for passing, and anything below that will be in red. It will do that. So I set my standard to 70, so anything below that is going to be highlighted in red. So this person right here got below, so I can really target that person and help them do a reteach, reassess, or pull them in a small group, or whatever it is that I need to do. It does give an option to email the grade. So if I want to email each student their grade, I can, and it will give them what the true answer choices are. So you click on add-on again, and there's email grades right there. Okay. You can click on advanced, and it gives you some of the advanced options, like the setting your grades below 70 in red, things like that. Okay, so that is Flubaroo in a nutshell. Okay, let's talk about GMath. GMath is really cool. If you notice on the earlier form that I showed you, there was a question that said 20 divided by 5, and how in the world did I get that question in there? I'm going to show you. Again, you click add-on, and if that question is not in there, you're going to go to get add-on. Okay, and then you'll just select GMath. Okay, and it's always free. So you click on the GMath picture, accept, and now GMath is added into your Google form. So let's look at it in the actual Google form part, okay? So I'm going to go to add-ons again from the Google form, and then I'm going to create a math expression. You guys, I do not claim to be a math teacher, so I'm going to do just something real simple, okay? So the title of the math question will be solve the problem. Okay, you can add a help text. I'm going to clear out this fraction formula by pressing clear. And I am going to put in my problem. 20. Scroll down some more here. 20 divided by 5 equals. Okay. Notice it gives the formula to type in 20 divided by 5, but in the preview it's going to show you what it will look like in your question. So now I'm going to click insert. I scroll down, and here is my math problem. Solve the problem. I have the picture 20 divided by 5, and it automatically gives me the answer. Okay, so if I'm trying to do a Flubaroo grade on this, maybe I want to delete the answer for the problem and have them give me a multiple choice, and they would have to maybe fill out, solve the equation on paper. Something like that, okay? If you want to make your number equation bigger, you can click on the optional part right here and click on the size, and it will make it bigger for you. You can always change the size if you need to. So that's how you would create a math problem. It does graphs, so you can go to add-on, GMath forms, you can create a graph, statistics, whatever it is that you math guys do. Okay, I just did something really simple, 20 divided by 5. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to show you is form limiter, and I love form limiter. This is the third thing. I know there's other things that are out there. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to look at that on your own, but I really want to show you guys the form limiter. And here's how that's going to work. Again, that's in your add-ons. Okay, you need to add that in your add-ons if you don't have it. I go to form limiter and I set the limit. I love doing this because I don't have to keep checking the form to see if everybody has filled it out. I give a time frame. Okay, so I select my date and my time, or I can set maximum number of responses if I'm doing like a quick survey or destination spreadsheet cell value. I don't mess with that one. I usually mess with the date and time. I click on date and time, and then it says stop accepting forms. When do you want to stop accepting the form? Let's say I want to stop accepting it on the 20th of June. Okay, June 20th at, I like to do those college times at midnight and set it. So that means when it hits June 20th midnight, so Friday going into Saturday of June, it's going to cut itself off. Okay, and then look at the message part. You can change it to whatever you want, but this one says this form is no longer accepting responses and has been automatically closed by this person. My principals really love this feature because if they make a Google form to send out, they automatically have it sent back to them, and when they try to get into the form, it says that it's been closed out by principal@gmail.com, for example. Okay, that means that if a person who's trying to do this form on the 21st can't get in, they'll try to go and talk to me, the iTech, but I have no control over that. That means that that person would have to actually go to the principal who made the form and have them turn it back on. So what does that mean? What that means is that the person who was trying to do the form didn't submit it on time, and that kind of red flags the principal saying, okay, this person didn't do it. I'm going to mark that down somewhere on the side that they didn't do it. They didn't copy the form on time. So that takes you as the instructor of the iTech, if you're the iTech on your campus, out of the equation, and you don't turn it on because you don't have control over that. The person who created it has control over it. So that has helped me a lot. That has helped my principals a lot because they can document who has done it and who hasn't done it. Another thing for me not having to keep looking to see who's filled the form out is I like to do email form owner when subscriptions are closed. Okay, so that means that let's say I ended it on the 20th in June. Okay, now what what's going to happen is it's going to send me an email saying that the form is automatically closed. So I don't have to keep going into my drive. I don't have to keep going into my view responses to see how many people have done it. The form automatically closes. I get that email, and I can go back and look to see who's done it and who hasn't done it, and then I can email those specific people saying you need to complete this form, and I can CC the principal just so they know that these people need to do the form. So that takes a lot of the guesswork out of who's done it and who hasn't done it. I love that feature. Again, that is form limiter. Okay. So that is it. I know this was a long video session, but I want to go into detail on how to create forms, so I hope you enjoyed it. The screen that you see here, there's a lot of stuff going on. Those of you who are viewing this video or have passed this video along to people, I would like for you to post your pretend Google form on a Padlet. And if you haven't heard of a Padlet, it's basically an interactive blog board, and I'm going to show you the Padlet right now. This is the Padlet. People have made comments on the Padlet with their names or their Twitter names. I'm asking that you put your Twitter name on your on the Padlet, and the screenshot or link to your Google form. So you just click on anywhere on the wall, put in your Twitter name, you can write a comment, or you can attach your Google form at the hyperlink at the bottom again. Let me show you that again. It's the hyperlink chain right here. Add URL. And then you can paste your form there. Okay? And that, let me exit out of this. That is on padlet.com/beharris21/TwitterGforms. Or I have the Google shortener here in red. I also have the QR codes here for the Padlet. Okay? And I also have a QR code and a link for Paperless Guys, and I want to talk about that for just a quick minute. This is my other plug. Myself and James Albrecht, we are called the Paperless Guys, and James Albrecht is the iTech at Hoffman, and of course I am the iTech at Eckerd Intermediate. And what we're doing is we are taking 2 teachers and 2 classes, and we are going to attempt to go paperless, completely paperless. This is something that hasn't really been done, and I don't know if any district has a class that's gone completely paperless, or at least as much paperless as possible. But we're going to attempt it. I'm attempting it with a 6th grade teacher, Miss Anderson, and he's doing it with a 7th grade teacher, Miss Kraft. Okay, and Miss Kraft is a English language arts teacher, and my teacher is a social studies teacher. And so we are going to see what is going to happen when a class goes paperless. And these are just one class. It's not all of their classes, it's just one. And we want you guys to follow us, the @PaperlessGuys Twitter account. Let me pull that back up again. I'm going to go back to the beginning so you guys can see that. Okay, @PaperlessGuys. That's our Twitter handle. Okay, and I'm going to go back towards the end here. I want you guys to follow us. There's information that's being posted on our aisdpaperlessguys.wix.com/home, or the Google shortener, or you can just scan the URL and have it saved in bookmark on your phone. We're going to have information posted as much as possible. We're going to have podcasts. We're going to have a YouTube channel, and we want you to follow us and see how this is going. We are documenting the successes. We're documenting the failures. And a lot of the parents and a lot of the educators have questions, and they're very positive questions. There are curiosity questions about, how is this going to work? We're not sure if this is going to be right. We're not sure if this is going to be great. We're not sure if this is going to fail. We just have tons of questions. And so myself and James are trying to answer this pretty much as we go along, because if you are a teacher, I don't care what district you're from, and you're interested in going paperless, but you don't know how to go about it, we want you to take a look at us. And we don't have the right answers. We're going into this with very little experience. We're getting our teachers' feedback. We're getting everybody's feedback, what works, what doesn't. So at least you guys know that if you're interested, you have something to follow up on. Okay? So again, follow us at Paperless Guys, and then follow me at Professor X1130. for any questions that you might have. Okay, so guys, I really enjoyed the Region 6 conference, and I hope you guys enjoyed this session. If you guys have any questions, please again send me a tweet or email me at beharris2 at aldenisd.org. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, hopefully in a timely manner. But again, I thank you guys for taking the time out to view this video. And thank you, Huntsville Region 6, for having me present. Take care, you guys, and have a wonderful summer.